Early in the century, one of the few sources of home entertainment was the piano. It accompanied the family sing-along or provided a classical recital for dinner guests. And almost invariably, it was played by women. But all of a sudden, women broke free from the piano stool and began playing drums, banjos, and saxophones. All-women bands appeared, playing jazz and boogie in dance halls across Australia. The rise of these female combos and their equally sudden disappearance is recorded in a photographic exhibition now showing in Melbourne. Our report is by Marianne Latham.
Who's that walking down the street? Looks like organ grinder feet. When he pushes that handle down, music goes around and around. Oh,
I think the First World War, where it begins, gave women new freedoms. As the men enlisted, the women went into the workforce. As they became economically empowered, the feminists would say, it enabled them to take charge of new freedoms of dress, behaviour, etc. In the early 1920s, there was live music everywhere. It was in the picture theatres, it was in the dance halls, it was in restaurants, cafes. People had live music for parties. It was everywhere, and there was great opportunity for musicians. They were probably being paid better than the girls who were working in shops or in factories or being typists, and they were having much more fun. Many of the women were married, and although it was a time when married women did not routinely work after they married, these women did. Now, I think in many cases they worked because they needed to, because this is a depression story and the money was hard to come by.
At home we were never allowed to have popular music in the house, and the only influence I ever heard was I used to go very quietly of an evening, a summer's evening, and people opposite had just bought a gramophone, and I can remember Barcelona, I think it was the name of the one that was popular at the time, and then of course wafting on the summer air with funicular and those sort of things, but I only heard them from over the road. Then back to seriousness the next day to practice.
But Gladys eventually did stray from the classical music her family expected her to play. In 1939, she joined a group of 19 female musicians called Babe Egan and the Hollywood Redheads. When you first joined the Redheads, what did your family think about that?
Horrified. Quite horrified.
What did they think would happen?
Well, the obvious predicaments that I would be fast on the way to, you know, those sort of things. Naughty, naughty.
There's a double feature at the Strand, a good excuse to hold my hand. Hey, what you say, baby? How's about tomorrow night?
We were not redheads. We were told just a short time beforehand that we all had to have red hair, so we all appeared with various colours of red hair.
One of the first all-women's bands in Australia was set up by the now 95-year-old Thelma Reedy. Thelma had begun the revolution earlier by exchanging her piano for the banjo. Would you have been one of the only women playing a banjo?
Yes, I was nobody else. I was the first to do it, and I had no intention of going into it as a profession. It was just by chance.
So how did your band start? How did you become the leader of the band?
Well, when I met these two girls, I said to them, well, it's no good of staying with just a trio. We won't get anywhere with a trio, will we?
What were they playing?
Piano and violin.
So what did you do?
I started looking. I said, well, now listen, we've got to have a lady drummer. Where would we get that?
Were they hard to find?
Oh,
Where did the Thelma Reedy's Ladies Orchestra play?
when we first started? Well, I think the first engagement was, and to be permanent, was the Hotel Australia. And we were there for about 5 years.
How long were you together as a band?
Oh, we were more than 5 or 6 years together. And we were in work the whole time. There wasn't one day these girls didn't get paid.
It's nice work if you can get it, and you can get it if you try.
Girls of my age were trying to get into the various orchestras, but it was a mainly man-dominated era in those days. It was very hard to get into those kind of things.
I don't know a lot about the culture of the men's bands, but traditionally it involves, you know, a fair bit of hard drinking and a more bohemian lifestyle. And I think the men did not want the women sharing that life. One of the musicians told me that the men didn't want the women drinking in the musicians' union club. You know, they didn't want to share that lifestyle with women. Although I sometimes feel that underneath all that it really comes down to one basic thing, and that's a fear of job competition.
It would surely be very small of me if my love to you wasn't true. I'll do anything to pinch your heart. I'm 100% for you.
No doubt it was job competition, even stronger with the end of the Second World War, and the expanding belief that a woman's place is in the home, that saw the demise of the women's bands. In fact, most people would wonder if they ever existed at all.
Those were the days, reported by Marianne Latham. More of Sunday in a moment.